A large proportion of the people who came from abroad after the Second World War came to settle in the big cities. Birmingham was a manufacturing city. It was a place where people came to work with their hands, and therefore people from India and Pakistan came into the industries. In an environment which did not take kindly to new people coming in, they found themselves being pushed into some of the most underprivileged areas of Birmingham, what we call the inner city. Now, places like Handsworth, Smethwick, Sandwell, West Bromwich, these were places where our people settled.
My father came to England in 1955. He came on his own. Then he thought he might go back after 5 years, but he didn't go back. And whole the family came to England 1964, Talbir and Balbir. And we settled down in Smethwick. Since 1964, I'm still in Smethwick.
This building used to be Ebenezer Sunday School, and I came here as a child. My parents and my aunts were married at Ebenezer Church, which was originally on the site where the Mandir is, and where this group bought it and began to worship there. And then, of course, you had the tragic fire. The Mandir was built after that.
All the Asians from West Bromwich seemed to live in number 2 Sandwell Road, and that was my earliest memories. And we came at the weekend, and on Monday we were enrolled in school with no concept of English, but I don't know how we grasped the language or anything, but we just did, we just got on with it.
I came here in 1961, and I struggled all my life here. There were only a few houses here. There were 5 families used to live in West Bromwich, and they were all sharing the place.
All the hard jobs our people was doing in the foundry. Casting metals, hot metals, cutting the metals, grinding the metals. I work since I started school 1966-67. I've been working whole life.
I was made to come, like many other colleagues and artists of my generation. We followed our husband. So my husband was at the University of Birmingham doing a PhD, and I came with him.
What brought me really to Sandwell was the fact that I'd studied pharmacy and the opportunity arose whereby I bought a pharmacy in West Bromwich, and also because I was heavily linked with music, especially Punjabi music, Bhangra music, and it seemed that that was the heart of what was happening at the time.
Initial plans were to go back when he finished in like 4 years' time, and now 34 years later, I'm still here. So that kind of says, to a degree, I guess the pulling power of the city.
Society here, although it was prepared to accept their labor, was not necessarily able to look after them in their neighborhoods and their streets. So the result was that all these migrant settlers grouped together to give themselves mutual support, and culture became very much a part of the way in which they kept together.
My father used to run a cinema in West Bromwich. Cinema was heart of the community, and he started Asian films in this country. He started back in 1956, and there used to be a big cinema on the high street, ABC it was called, and the community used to gather there, and it was a social gathering. It was an area where they could talk about what was happening to their kids. They could talk about what was happening back home.
I had a hobby of singing. I can write songs as well. And I was only 16, 17, and there was a heavy bag of the wheelbarrow. So I couldn't carry it. I pick it up and drop it down, I pick it up and drop it down again. And people, all the workmate was laughing at me. So I write a song over there. First time I write song, I say, मेतों बारा तकिया ना जावे, मेतों बारा तकिया ना जावे, फोरमैन कहंदा छेती छेती बारा तक ओए, ਮੇਰਾ ਬਾਰਾ ਤੱਕ ਦੇ ਦਾ ਟੁੱਟ ਗਿਆ ਲੱਕ ਓਏ ਪਾਲਾ ਵੱਡ ਵੱਡ ਹੱਡਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਵੇ ਮੇਤੋਂ ਬਾਰਾ ਤੱਕਿਆ ਨਾ ਜਾਵੇ
I remember with Avtar Kang, who's a legendary singer, we all used to meet at the Gurdwara, and this is where we used to get inspiration and influence. Even the top artists from India, all the celebrities like Surinder Kaur, Jamla Jat, and those artists, they never had TV channels or any other medium to promote their shows. The only way they could promote their show that they're performing is go to the Gurdwara and perform a couple of shabd at the Gurdwara.
Those days, so many religious songs was selling. We used to take to the Gurdwara and put the box over there. If somebody pays or if it doesn't pay, we give it free to the people. You know.
I started Sampad in 1990. So the first 6 years in the UK were quite an important phase in my life because I learned about the country. It was like my research and development.
I did radio for about, about 15 years for the BBC. And currently I'm doing it for a local community radio station called Raj FM, which is in West Bromwich, and that's a community, and again, trying to bring the community together.
There was a lot of interest in learning, so I started a class in Birmingham, and gradually, the circle of friendship, the circle of artists grew. As you are in the profession, you meet each other, and we started kind of understanding and supporting each other as artists as well.
The average salary for a person a week was about £6 or £7 a week. And I used to go to a secondary school, and for 2 programs, I used to get £5. And I was the richest kid in the school in those days.
If you look at 30 years ago, it used to be mostly theatre and maybe a bit of television, a little slot on Sunday mornings in television, an occasional radio, the Asian channel, Asian programs Tuesday evenings. But now you get it online.
It is here in Sandwell, in the heart of the Black Country, that some of the most precious work has been undertaken by young groups of men and women from India and Pakistan, who set up the Bhangra bands and who then progressed these into the modern world.
That then led to, the bands and artists sort of singing at Asian weddings, the early days when it used to be in pubs and school halls or community halls, etc. And that's where it all began. So it began here in Sandwell.
In the evening, we used to go in the pub, and the whole people come in the pub room. It's called Beacon Pub by Smedic, and we go down there. My brother plays the drum. All the people say, "Come on, but we sing a song for me."
In the pubs, they used to have a jukebox. They used to play EPs, and the first EP that I recorded with A.S. Khan was I played the tol key in it, and it was Lut Gilegi, and we recorded that at Zella's studio, and the building is still there. I don't think the studio is still there. That's in Edgbaston, and we recorded that EP, and it was a massive hit.
We the one who started Punjabi music. We record first EP. We made 100 copies of that EP and distributed in the U-box in the pubs. And since then, Punjabi music start. They put my name in the Guinness Book of World Record, saying the Pachangi who start Punjabi music in England.
All these bands who were coming on the scene from the Midlands area, from the Sandwell area, and then obviously from other areas, London and so forth. They were producing so much music. I just felt there was no recognition given to these musicians. So we formed the Asian Pop Awards, and that became a huge success for so many years. And it was a platform for new artists as well, because they wanted to show their talents as well. So we gave it was a platform for the next generation as well as the generation we were in.
We are now probably into the fourth generation of migrant settlers, people who may be called Indians and Pakistanis as far as his origins are concerned, but whose identities are much more complex than that. While their parents, for instance, or maybe their grandparents, I should say, still speak about life in the villages of the Punjab or Gujarat or Bengal, these young men and women actually are not as familiar with that environment as their ancestors were. However, they are still connected. There is an umbilical cord of connection between what happens in a country 4,500 miles away and what happens in the inner city. And these young men and women are, in some respects, part of that connection, even without knowing it. And that's why I think it's important for us to look for solutions as we go forward, strike the right balance between tradition and modernity.
When we moved here, we didn't find a group for us to play in. And then when we found Preetham, we played here, so we had our vocals trained and we learned different rags and also like the history of music, what's its origin in India and different places.
There has been a real positive cohesion of music making because of the diverse mix of Sandwell children, because if they're taking part in it, then we've got diverse mix straight away. And with boys and girls as well, there's a real mix.
My granddad was a dolki player. He played all around Europe. He done a couple of tours. He played on stage. He was with the Nari Sangeet party, and Dad's been playing, not much, but yeah. So I want to keep the generation going and play the tabla.
Now, 30 years down the road, it's not the picture at all, because we now have the quality, the talent and potential from British Asian communities that is of major quality that we can export to India sometimes, or to Pakistan or Bangladesh.
I think I started music about 3 years ago. It was actually on my mum's coercion. I didn't want to do it, but now I absolutely adore doing music. So it's a huge part of my life now.
We have amazing, imaginative artists who are creating a new genre, which is bringing together the Asian and the British experience. They are straddling different cultures and creating new sound, new language of music.
The future aims of SIP's Education and Music and Arts Service is to continue to offer high quality music, and I feel passionately that children of Sandwell, whatever their background, whatever their culture, has that opportunity. And I think more and more we're looking at ways to bring our community together through music making and embrace our culture.
Everything else in the world, the artists, the art forms are evolving very rapidly, very fast, in very exciting routes.
So you have here now in Britain an extraordinary scene which is intercultural, multicultural, global, intellectual, providing the kind of cultural capital that gives quality of life to people in the city.